Hello, hello, hello. How willing are you to consider doing things differently? How willing are you to look at things from a completely different perspective? That's my topic for today. My name is Linda. I'm your Back in the Groove Again coach. I'm the moderator for the fantastic Facebook group. I'm live also on YouTube and on my Facebook page. So, why do I want to talk about the willingness to look at things from a different perspective? Well, it's because I'm in that situation right now where I'm questioning something. I'm questioning whether or not I could be looking at things from a different perspective. And I'll give you an example of what's happening. I've been doing these lives or videos, I should say, on YouTube, and there's one particular YouTube video series that's getting a lot of traction. But it's a subject that I'm not necessarily an expert in, and I don't really want to talk only about that subject, but it seems to be pulling in a lot of interest. So I'm questioning, am I willing to look at this subject from a completely different perspective? Am I willing to entertain this subject? So the reason I'm bringing this up is how often do you notice that you you get different ideas, but then you block at at other ideas. That when it comes to certain things, there's a definite no. Definite no. I'll give you another example. And that's why I'm kind of questioning this in me right now. So, I have to admit, first of all, that I have not written a script for this live at all. So I'm going from the top of my head, but I want to get a message across anyways. So, I use Insight Timer. It's a meditation app, and I love it. I've talked about it on other lives. But recently, in the last few weeks, I've received a lot of invites from men to be friends with them. Now, I'm thinking I'm not on Insight app to meet men. I'm on Insight app to meditate. So you notice how my thoughts are very narrow in that sense. I'm here for this reason, but not for that reason. And sometimes that's good because when you have a very clear purpose, it gives you direction and it gives you focus, and that allows you to get the work done. But sometimes having this type of focus prevents you from seeing the stuff that's on the outside. And that's why I wanted to talk about this topic today. How willing are you to look at things from a different perspective? And I'm going to use me as an example. When, I was thinking the messages that I've been getting from some men, they're kind of, they're starting, those messages have been affecting me because it's gotten me thinking that maybe, maybe I could meet somebody from one of those apps. Maybe. I noticed that I'm willing to at least send them messages. So you see how sometimes it could be a clear no, this is my focus, and that's all it is, and this is limiting me to just this, which has its advantages. But then looking at it from a different perspective from outside of that, I wish I had an object that I could show you, but from outside that expands possibilities. It expands possibilities. And that's the part that I want to focus more on. When you're willing to look at things from a different perspective, but not just look at things, but to act on ideas, to act on suggestions from friends that are different than yours. You might initially, and I'll just speak for myself, I might initially notice resistance. Of course, I'm going to notice resistance because And I'll just go back to the insight timer example because I'm thinking, I don't want to get hurt. Now, that's a belief. I don't want to get hurt, but it's an irrational belief. And how do I know it's an irrational belief? Well, when I start thinking about it, I'm going from 0 to 100. I'm going from 0 to the marathon. I'm going from not being active to running a marathon. There's a lot of things in between there. So I'm going from an email on Insight app to I don't want to get hurt. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't make any sense at all. But that's where our fears kick in. That's where our protective brain kicks in because it brings you back to, oh, do you remember when you've done that before? And this is what happened when you did that before. Hogwash, right? Hogwash when you really start thinking about it. So that means that anything that I've done in the past that hasn't been successful, if I keep holding on to those memories of things that haven't been successful in the past, I will be very, very limited to the experiences that I seek. Right? Does that make sense when you think about it? So, how willing am I to look at things from a different perspective? I'll give you another example. I have friends that sell products online and they're awesome products. Okay. They really believe in these products. But in my narrow mind, and of course, I'm using myself as an example here because I want you to be thinking of how you might be like that as well. In my narrow mind, I don't need additional products. I go to the pharmacy to get my products. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I don't need. So I'm thinking this way, which to some extent is okay. But it's very limiting, isn't it? If, what if those other products would be helpful and beneficial? What if sending somebody an email on Insight Timer would open up a conversation to a possibility of meeting an interesting friend? What if? This is how I want us to start thinking. What if taking this new job would create a great opportunity for me? What if dressing a little bit more sexier might make me feel great and confident? What if it would? What if it would? What would be the harm in that? What if I would travel to go visit my family? So, at the very least, this what if question is worth exploring. What if, and I'm thinking of the procrastination seminar that I'm doing tonight. What if I stopped procrastinating and actually completed things that I wanted to complete? What would happen? What would happen if I decided to, and for me, it's my income taxes. It's always my income taxes that I procrastinate on. What if I would get those things done? Well, can you imagine? I want you to think of how much time you waste, and I'm thinking of myself too. How much time do you waste thinking of all the bad things that could happen, or thinking of all the worries and concerns that you have about this thing that you might be willing to try, or how much energy you spend on saying, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks? A lot of energy sometimes when we think about it. And when we say no thanks, no thanks, no thanks, it reinforces these whatever happens in our brains, it reinforces that and makes it easier to say no thanks the next time. That's what in fact has happened. So in the past, I've gotten a lot of messages from guys on Insight app, and of course, I'm using this as an example. And I've already said no thanks. I'm not on here to meet friends. But what if now I was willing to look at it from a different perspective? And I could write myself a list, and that's what I'm going to suggest that you do. What if I would do this? Well, I could get hurt. sure. But I could also meet somebody else. I could find out that the person lives in this city. I could find out a lot of different information. I could go on and on and on and write what would happen if. Now, if, and this applies to anything, it's not just the what would happen if, it's really trying to tell the brain that it's okay to think outside of that possibility. It's okay to experience a little bit of maybe fear, but also experience a bit of joy. For example, what if I did start using a different product? What if I said to my friend, okay, I want to try this product? I went from not wanting to try it because of all the other beliefs that I have to changing my mind, saying, okay, and it's not really that much time, is it? It didn't take that much time. Hello, nice of you to join me. Thank you. Today I'm talking about the willingness to look at things from a different perspective. And I was asking myself, what if I would be willing to try this new product? What if? Well, I could probably have a different look on my face. Maybe I would lose weight. Maybe I wouldn't like the product. But how would I know that if I didn't try it? Right? I mean, that's the whole idea of at least thinking of different possibilities of what if this would be possible. What if I would visit my family? Like a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking of visiting my family, and I hadn't visited my family since before Christmas. And I was thinking, well, I can't really go right now because of the COVID, blah, blah, blah. And I kept thinking of all the different reasons why I couldn't do this. And then I, after I explored a couple of options for my accommodations, I thought, what if I could just go? What if I could stay at my friend's place? And all of a sudden, the world of possibilities opened up. So that's the message for today. It's number one, what is holding you back? Is it your beliefs around your what you can't do and why you can't do it? Is that what it is? Is it that you've always repeated the same things? Well, I can't do that because of this rule. And of course, we don't know they're necessarily rules until we see ourselves repeating the same thing over and over again, like I did with the Insight app. I don't want to meet anybody on this Insight app. That's what I've been telling myself for a long, long time. But what if? What if I could meet somebody on Insight app? That opens up a lot of different possibilities. So it's looking at what we're now willing to do and the what ifs, the what could possibly happen if I would do this thing. What could possibly happen if I would purchase a product from my friend? What could possibly happen if I said yes to something instead of saying no? All right, now, and I could stay stuck in the, okay, I'll start saying yes, or I could simply say yes and act on it. And that's what I'm going to suggest that you do is once you start exploring the, well, it doesn't make any sense why I'm saying no to this and no to that and no to this. It doesn't make any sense because I've explored all the what could happen if I did say yes, right? Then it's a matter of saying yes and it's a matter of putting it into action. So that's the topic for today. That's what I'm encouraging you to consider is to look at everything that you've been saying no to and ask yourself, what if I could look at this from a different perspective? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for viewing me on my Facebook group. So you'll have to look at the live from the beginning. It's a really interesting live today. I'm talking about what if there were possibilities of looking at this from a different perspective. Are you willing to look at this from a different perspective and ask yourself the question, what if I would look at this from a different perspective? What would that possibly open up for me? And you write those things down so that you could start really believing that things could possibly be different for me. And then you need to act on it. So for my case, it would mean I need to act on that very next little step. I'll give you the example again with the guy that's been contacting me on Insight app. I can think of all the reasons why I shouldn't contact this person on Insight app. And because that's what's ingrained in here. But now I have to shift of all the different reasons why I could. And the very next step is just to respond to his message. That's it. One tiny little step at a time, instead of going from 0 to 100, instead of thinking, no, I don't want to contact him at all, to, oh, but I could get hurt if I did. That's going from 0 to 100, which doesn't make any sense. So it's noticing how certain thoughts, beliefs don't make any sense, writing the turnaround of those thoughts. But what if it could be possible? What if I just took the next step? And slowly but surely, our brain um, starts creating neural paths that start. And I don't know a lot about the brain, guys. Sorry about that. But it is creating new neural paths in our brain that eventually, when we repeat those behaviors time and time and time again, the positive behaviors I'm talking about, it makes it easier to say yes to possibilities. But we have to first start with thinking about those possibilities and looking for opportunities to say yes to new opportunities, so that the brain starts, really putting these yeses together, creating new neural paths that makes it in time easier to say yes to new possibilities, right? So how do we look at things from a different perspective? That's what the live was all about today. I want you to look at the live from the beginning again, and I want you, or encourage you to, I should say, to add your comments in the chat box. I would love to know how this approach worked for you. All right. So write your comments in the chat box. Good morning, Camille. How are you? I was just about to finish my. Thank you for writing that down, Camille. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And here we go. Okay, so here's my what if. And I know Camille is going to say, yes, yes, yes. And let me use the example. So I've been approached by Camille to meet with her for a strategy session. I forget the name, Camille. Sorry about that. But in my mind, in my narrow, narrow mind, I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to be sold to. I don't need to have any more strategy calls. I'm thinking negative. But now what I'm saying, because I am willing to look at things from a different perspective, right? That's what the whole uh, live was about today. I'm willing to look at this from a different perspective. I'm willing to consider, what if meeting up with my friend Camille would be helpful? What if? Imagine that, right? What if? So, well, I could actually get some really good ideas and maybe make a new friend. That's all great stuff, isn't it? So that's the way I want you to think about. And I'm noticing that I'm just going to I'm just going to put this. Are you on Zoom? No, right now I am not on Zoom, and I do want to answer. Right now I'm on my laptop doing a live. Now I haven't done the live on my Zoom just yet. Oh, right now I'm on StreamYard. I'm on StreamYard, and I'm streaming to 3 different platforms at the same time. I've paid for that, but I was going to send you a message about the Zoom and the recording thing. So I think it's better. I don't want to talk about that during the live right now. Oh, just give me a second. Okay, I'll mention it. So when I go on Zoom with the purpose of recording something, I've done it yesterday. What I did was I used Zoom, and I start the recording when I'm ready to say something, and then I pause the recording and I prepare myself for the next section of that video. So I will, on the same Zoom call, which is not live, which is just recorded, I will do several little short clips, and I will start editing them together. Now, I've been doing a little bit of editing over the last few years, few years. I'm not a pro at editing, but I've been playing around with it. So that's how I've been able to do it. I've been able to use Zoom and maybe cut out the parts that I don't want, and then um, kind of integrate the next part that I want onto the same video. I don't know if that's making any sense to you right now, Catherine, but maybe it is. So going back to Camille, I'm going to end my call with that. I'm willing to look at this from a different perspective. I'm willing to have a call with Camille. Now, I know I'm putting itself out there, and I'm sure Camille is going to contact me and say, hey, when do we do this? So that's the next step. It's putting into action, right? So there you go, guys, right? It's to become aware of when we have limiting thoughts, thoughts that are preventing us from enjoying our life more, thoughts that are preventing us from looking at the possibilities instead of limiting us. And it's the maybe brainstorming of how can I make this work? What if it could work? What if this would happen? And of course, I'm focusing on the positive what ifs, not the negative what ifs, because the negative what ifs is what's keeping me stuck in my way of thinking. So the positive what ifs, well, Camille and I can have a really great conversation. Camille can give me a lot of great tips. Camille and I can maybe even become friends, right? The what ifs, and then it's putting it into action. There you go. All right. Thanks everybody for watching, and please add your comments to the section. Mindset is key. I know, I know, I know. I know. Mindset is key. Thank you. Thank you, Camille. It is. And that's why on Mondays I do Mindset Mondays, because it's not just about changing my mindset, but it's also about helping you change your mindset as well, right? My name is Linda. I'm your back in the groove again coach, and changing our mindset around something, looking at the what ifs and looking at all the possibilities of what ifs, that's another way to help you get back in your groove again. Of course, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is on YouTube. It's also on Facebook. So to get more great tips, go back to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And and then we'll do a call. Definitely we'll do a call. All right. Bye. À la prochaine. On va se revoir plus tard. On va parler plus tard. Bonne journée. Bye bye, everybody.